Welcome to Bonehead Weekly, and this week's topic was literally picked by Chad, even though no one believes that anymore.
No,
Well, this is actually one that he actually picked that we're not just saying that he picked, even
That
though
he
he
picked
picks all of them.
like yesterday or today? Yesterday.
yesterday.
Yeah.
I did. What's funny is we've had this joke going for so long, I'm not trying to take credit, but for hundreds of our first episodes, I was the one coming up with most of the topics, and then
I don't know what
and
you're
then we
talking
started
about.
making
Chad,
this
I don't
joke.
remember. James, I don't remember that. Do you remember that?
I
No.
don't know. Then he hit an epic dry spell, and
I hit an epic dry spell the last year and a half, and now it's become a joke. Like I don't even come up with ideas anymore. It's like,
if you want, by the way, a behind the scenes look at this, what sometimes happens, I won't say often, but often enough happens, is what's the topic? And then I will spitball about six ideas over text message,
yeah,
and Joe will go, yeah, that one sounds good. Or
yeah,
Chad will say that one sounds good. And that's how we
Yeah,
yeah.
pick
yeah.
them.
Every once in a while, I'll get overruled, but I guess sometimes it's me that says, "No, that sounds good." But 9 times out of 10, most of your topics are like, "Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, we could do an episode on that. Yeah, we could do an episode." Right?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, but if anybody thinks that there's, I mean, not to again to make a well, I actually to make a Harlan Ellison reference, we don't get the ideas from Schenectady, right? We don't get a fresh six pack of ideas. We just spitball until something sticks. But anyway, yes. What is our topic, Chad? Again?
uh gross out movies that go for the shock value and not necessarily, and I don't know about your picks. I went a different direction with this. There are plenty of movies that could we could just do that are gross out in that they're just there to make people sick, which my first pick is that, but the other two are not. But yeah, I mean, you can gross out can be done terribly or it can be done correctly, and where it elevates the story, it keeps it going, which quite a few fail.
And I also I think the automatic assumption for me was horror films, but it's not. There's so many really good different genre films that are can be really gross, right?
Yeah.
We kind of automatically think horror, but comedy is a close second. In fact, this is interesting, and I know James is going to go in a second, but as you were introducing it, I always Google like best blah 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 blah. It's shocking how many of them have. Most of them are comedies on most of these lists. They're not horror
Well,
films.
and you know what I came up with my list and then I did what you normally do. I Googled after I came up with my list, and I was kind of irritated with everybody's list because I'm like, their definition of gross out films
The Animal
is
House is almost
tame.
number one on a lot of
I
them.
didn't see that
That's
one.
Animal House is number one on several I looked at, and I
Most of the list they were horror related. I'm like the horror movies that were being listed are tame.
yeah I don't think Animal House even in 78 it was different, it was new, it was fresh, but other than a zit thing, I'm a zit, get it, and a few, there's not really a lot of gross out humor in it
Yeah.
unless I'm misremembering something, you two.
No, there's not a lot
It's just like someone said to me, and their friend, there's
other than Donald Sutherland's ass. That was the pretty most
yeah,
grossest part about that whole movie.
that was hot. Uh, your definition of gross is stupid. But it's just
I
like when
love how you
somebody
didn't even
says,
sugarcoat that.
I know. It's just like Texas Chainsaw. And someone whom I like and respect a lot was talking about bloody movies and said Chainsaw, and I was like, no, you're misremembering that. No, I'm not. Like, yeah, there's even articles about how people misremember this. Like it's Texas Chainsaw. If we're talking about Toby Hooper's, there's almost no blood in it.
And Toby Hooper even said that for
Right.
years. He goes, "There's no blood in that movie,"
There's just no almost no blood. It cuts away because it's the way it's shot, the visceral new of these ex-hippies who
which
make
that appeared on many of the lists I saw.
it's not a gross movie.
Mm-mm.
Well, they're eating people. The sequels are somewhat gross. I would say Leatherface they got the meat in jars. It's disgusting. But at the Texas Chainsaw 3 that Jeff Burr did. But back to so you all agree with me, right? There's several back to what Chad, you said it too. They're just not gross.
No,
It's a visceral reaction, and you're remembering the visceral reaction from Texas Chainsaw, but you don't remember the actual movie because there's very little blood. There's nobody puking on anybody. There's nothing. Anyway,
Well,
James, you're
well, I was
going
going to
to
say, and I'm going to
do
go
your
into
discussion.
because some of the feedback that we get, we don't always get a lot of feedback. With at least one person, thanks, Barb, appreciates when I occasionally do the "How did we get
She's,
to
by
this
the way,
woman"
gotten
stuff.
internet famous, right? Those reels that she's done that have hit it off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Congratulations to our friend who actually puts
sometimes they
effort into.
attract negative attention too, though, because you get those people.
I told
I
her
know you'll put up with those people for the love of money,
for the
which
love
we
of it
don't.
was
Yeah.
great. Yeah, I was just do it. Thank you
For the click.
for
Thank
the
you for the
click.
click.
Yeah,
But
you just made it more clickable.
you all, as you all talked about this, I thought about, one of the things that also complicates gross out film, whether it's comedy, whether it's horror, is what is gross to you.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
there are people that I can remember that said something about Mary was the grossest film. They loved horror films, but they found something about Mary to be so gross, between the
It's on a lot
zipper
of these
stuck
lists
scene
too.
and all that. So I just wanted to point that out. So let me do a quick overview, and this is going to be really quick. I've got some notes I've taken just so I can keep myself on track. But how did we get to gross out film? Well, they've always been around since there's been film. And so before we start talking about disgusting and gross out films in general, I just wanted to walk through this because we have always had filmmakers that were making films where, bodies were doing terrible things or looking different than we would expect them to do. And so, a little bit about this, we can go back to the 1920s. And, filmmakers, even at that time, often weren't showing things that we would now see as immediately gross, but they were doing things that at the time shocked people. The Phantom of the Opera being deformed to the level that he was deformed was shocking. The Hands of Orlok, The Unknown. There's a bunch of films that you can look at that had people talking about how the films were causing revulsion. Um, and a lot of those actually looked at the ideas of what was horrifying at the time. America had came out of World War One. We did have some people come back literally maimed that were walking the sidewalks. They had lost limbs and everything. So
Missing
they
parts of
used
their body that like plastic pieces over their face. That whole thing. Is it Boardwalk Empire? The
Boardwalk Empire, where he does
yeah,
wear the mask. Yeah.
that's a thing.
Yep. And so you had this. So the idea was, it would now be problematic, but it was, well, let's use the real horror these people are living and turn that into film. And so you did see things where they were using that, and then they were saying, instead of maybe they're victims of war, they were the victims of plague, deformity, amputation. The idea of diseases altering your body started to appear in the films, even in the 1920s. And what really, going back to actually the trick that Toby Hooper pulled, even if you watch these movies now, you'll say, "Oh, well, that's not too bad," because it cuts away, or it's a shadow
Mhm.
on the wall as they, hunker over or whatever. By the time we get to the 1930, there is a little bit more daring because we're still pre-code at that point, and you do see pre-code films like Freaks, Todd Browning's Freaks, which used actual circus performers. Freak show
I'm glad
would
you
have been
got
the
it.
term at
Good.
the time. But you also see Island of Lost Souls, Mad Love, a lot of these films that look at ideas that even today would cause some people to be squeamish. Robbing Graves, vivisection, brain
Transportation. I love it.
transplantation. Yeah, we're transporting brains. Mutilation. The idea of altering a body to be not what a body's supposed to be anymore. Of course, the Motion Picture Production Code comes along in what, 1934, I think it is,
Shade,
ruins all that for momentum, and then we kind of go to where everything has to happen off screen, right? You can show a shadow, you can show a door closing, you can have a woman scream, something like that. But something really interesting happens again in the 50s. Why? Because again, we're coming out of a war, and not only coming out of a war, we're coming out of a war where we've learned about what happens if you mess with atomic power.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do see these horror films such as the original Fly, the Quartermass Experiment, Fiend Without a Face, not to be confused with Face
Mm-hmm.
Without Eyes. Um, but where there are this idea of that science is what is causing this grossness.
Yeah.
We have lost control of what we unleashed, and that's what's going to make us pay for it. We get to the 1960s, if production code is severely weakened, obviously we get to the idea of rankings and things like that. And then we get to what I don't want to ruin it maybe on some of y'all's list, but I think we can go ahead and mention it this early on.
Hmm.
You get to something like Herschel Gordon Lewis's Blood Feast, which was the idea from the get go. Chad just dropped his hat, so I peeved him off. The
I wasn't
idea
going to do
from
that
the
one, but it is
get
gross for
go
gross sake.
was how gross can we be? What can we get away with? Chad, you can talk about it still. I won't go on about it any
No, no,
further.
go ahead, talk about it because I honestly, no, it's fine. I got backups. It's fine. I was just playing.
Well, I mentioned Eyes Without a Face. Eyes Without a Face made surgery terrifying.
Yeah.
It made so all of these films were how far can we push? We're going to talk about surgery and we're going to push how far we can make that gross. Disgust was no longer about the monster. It was about the process in a lot of these films. We get to the 1970s. Hey, it turns out there's a lot of social upheaval. Things aren't going well for a lot of people. And we get to the idea that, again, the horror starts to come from within us. What is that John Carpenter line, Joe? That's either out there
There's
or
two
it's
stories. They're either in here in us. We're all sitting around the campfire, medicine man. The horror's in us, or it's out there, and we've got to get together and attack fight off the attack. That's the only two horror stories
not all, but generally speaking, a lot of the gross out of the 1970s is coming from us.
from us. Yeah, most of it is, or
We're,
body
we
horror.
we've got, and if you look at what was going on at the time, right? There was social upheaval. There was distrust of institutions. Soylent Green is what? It's people. Why? Because the government says you should eat people. There's changing
Why
ideas
so
about
damn
sex and what the
easy?
human body should and should not do, and all of that stuff. So you get films like The Exorcist, where it's vomit and wounds and the loss of what a little girl should look like. You get Alien, where even the idea of being impregnated looks very different.
Yeah,
Dawn of the Dead, the idea of eating bodies is different than what we even saw in Night of the Living Dead. We get to 1980s, and man, there's a boom. You get people like Tom Savini. You get people doing these practical effects. You're getting puppetry used for it. You're getting animatronics. You're getting mechanical effects. So you get things like Thing and Society and all that stuff. And the
James, are you
gross.
going to do every one of our movies as we go?
No, I didn't know y'all were picking these. I'm not picking any of these. The gross out gets amplified. I'll end by saying by the time we get to the 1990s and 2000, gross out is divided into several different directions. It becomes too widespread. Which actually, I don't argue that it becomes too widespread. It starts to be very personal, right? For some people, it's something about Mary. For other people, it's martyrs.
Oh,
Um,
that's,
and and
he's
then
going to name
again,
every single one.
I know it's killing me.
I'll end then by saying this before I go on. I had an entire thing prepared. The funny part is now, and maybe this will be something we talk about as we go. There are some people that say the gross out movies of today are less effective because it's too digital. A lot of films
I
rely
agree
on
with that.
more digital effects. And even though digital effects can produce almost anything, for some reason it's taken the sting out of a lot of gross out horror films or
I
gross out
agree,
films in
I agree
general.
with that.
Yeah,
And
I agree with
so,
that.
They've
I don't
yet to
think it's the
make.
case in the three movies I picked.
yeah, so the point that I will make is if you look at the history of gross out film, it seems like no matter if you're talking about comedy or horror or action or whatever, it seems like the idea has moved from damage to the body to the monster, and now we're back to what's going on with the human body.
Yeah,
And so there seems to be a cyclical nature of that. That now,
cyclical.
again, it's what happens to the human that is grossing us out more so than, oh, that's a gross monster. And it's a cyclic thing. There you go. That's the overview of what we can learn about the history of gross outs in film, disgustingness in film, if you will. There. Did I ruin everybody's picks? Now is the show over? Can we
No,
go
I
home?
don't think
No,
you
I think you
mentioned
just
any of.
named. I think you just named every gross movie for the next 20, 40, 50.
Oh no, I've
I'm
got
He
glad you
didn't.
plenty.
talked about Freaked.
I don't think he mentioned the one that I think is the ultimate gross out film.
What is it?
Okay, so I'll go first.
Your
So
topic.
this
You go
movie,
first.
honestly, guys, this movie's so gross. I won't even watch it. I'm never going to. I have no desire to watch it. I don't think either one of you have watched it. I know you've heard of it. So I'm not going to talk about this like I know I've seen it. I just know what's involved with it, and I will never ever watch a Serbian film.
I watched the first 10 minutes of it and I stopped. Uh,
Yeah.
Google it if you want to know what it's about. I don't think we should go into it on the show.
Yeah, it's
It is
rough.
all fake, though. It is
It
all,
is all fake, but it's rough.
it's rough.
It's beyond rough, actually.
Right.
This is my example of gross out films that are just there to make you feel awful.
I
Yeah.
don't know that I agree with that. Because I haven't seen it, I can't say one way or the other. I only watched the first 10 minutes and it wasn't anything bad yet, and I stopped.
Everybody I've heard that's seen it says you should never watch this film. There's no reason to watch it.
The reason I'd like to talk a little bit though about it in the context of it is Serbia and the war and the atrocities that happened afterwards. There's a lot of movies and art that were very Serbian films. One probably the one that most people know, but that's not the only one. I even read an article about this. There was a lot of yeah art that was made that was very visceral,
Hmm.
right? And a lot, same thing we do here. Like the horror is really big now. Shocker, why?
Yeah.
Look throughout our history, James, you just did a history of gross out horror in the times. Horror is really big now. What was two or three of the biggest movies this summer? Cost less than $5 million. One of them, neither one of them cost more than $3 million, right?
Yeah.
So or whatever it was. So I'm not defending the movie. I've never seen it. I'm just well, yeah, I guess I am defending it a little bit of I didn't go through that in Serbia that was going on. So to come out on the other end of that and whatever that lack of a better way of putting it, of exercising those demons as a culture, we get this probably this visceral art. Same
Yeah.
thing you're talking about post World War One and World War Two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that the list I looked at after I came up with Texas Chainsaw Massacre was on every single one of them, not one had Serbian film.
I agree.
And I'm
I agree with you though. I don't know that anything's as disgusting.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that can beat the disgusting level of a Serbian film. Just knowing what I know and what I've heard about what's in the film, I will never ever watch this film. I'm not. Mate, call me a hypocrite. I am just I can't and I won't make myself watch something like that.
But we haven't seen it.
Right.
I've
I'm
seen
not going. And again, I'm just. If you all are interested in how gross this film is, look it up yourselves. I'm not. I can't encourage you to do that.
I don't know. I don't think it's appropriate for our podcast, and that's coming from me.
Yeah, the one who just defended it.
I defend the art, yeah. Yeah, because I wasn't in it. I wasn't in that culture at that time.
Yeah.
And I defend that I actually defending me right now of saying, I think it's important that we put things in context.
Okay. But no, that I had to
You don't
go.
think so?
I-
It's
it's
important because we do a lot. We do it a lot as a society. We like, oh, this person and this person. I don't know that we put a lot of things in context. So
yeah. It's just
that's
I
it.
if it was done by a better person with it's just no. It's just there's no defend. I can't defend it like you are. So I just can't.
Well,
I
I've
can't.
never seen it. I'm
I
just
can't. I haven't either. I've just heard things about it. And I'm like, that should not be put on film. So yeah.
yeah, I don't know that I either. I don't think we get to decide that. That's probably
Mm.
the thing.
Yeah. Just
Yeah, well,
and that's what I'm saying. Don't watch it if you're not going. I mean, that's all there is to it. It's the same thing with people censorship. You don't like it, don't watch it.
And once again, I'm not defending the movie so much as I'm just putting it in. I'm truly trying to put it in context. And I'm not saying I don't know, we're getting off topic. This was really too serious.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't expect it to get serious, honestly. I just
Well, I
in
just
terms
read a couple articles about it years ago, and I stuck in my head, and I've thought about it, and I didn't know we were going to talk about it.
well, it's my pure definition of gross out.
Yeah.
So Serbian film. Next.
I'll do the fun, grossest movie I've ever saw.
Okay.
The most fun, gross movie I've ever saw. Because can I put also in, I don't know why Chad picked this one. I thought it might have been because we just watched Evil Dead Burn and it's pretty gross.
That was an inspiration for this, yeah.
I would imagine. And it's pretty gross.
Yeah.
It actually may very well be the grossest Evil Dead movie. It's right up there with the first Evil Dead.
I don't think there's an argument that it's the grossest one. Yeah.
It's either that or Evil Dead 1, right?
Yeah.
So it's one or the other. That being said, neither of them to me are as gross, but also it's a fun movie. It is entertaining. There's nothing scary in it, but it's one of the bloodiest movies of all time. We're talking to talk about Peter Jackson's. If you're other in here in America, it's Dead Alive, but everywhere across the world, it's Brain Dead.
That's on everybody's list for gross out
But
films. Yep.
but it was not on the list I looked at, oddly enough. That's the reason I was a little pissy. So I don't know where we missed that, but it's gross. It's a gross movie.
It is.
It
But
still
it's
has one of the grossest scenes. It still makes me go,
the porridge.
the poor, yeah, the ear
Custard.
and the custard. It's corn
Yeah.
custard. Oh, I
Custards. Thank
love
you,
a good
James.
custard. Ugh.
Yeah,
With
no, that the whole
mom
custard
beer.
scene. But here's the thing about
Same
Dead
guy made
Alive.
Lord of the Rings.
And here's the thing about Dead Alive and any early Peter Jackson films. They are gross, but they are fun gross. It's
They are
entertaining to
fun,
watch.
gross. I'll tell you though, that scene with all of them in the puking into the big what is it called, the punch bowl in what's his first film where the aliens are taking over Earth?
Oh, Brain Dead. No, not Brain Dead.
No,
Bad Taste.
Bad Taste. Bad. That's pretty gross. That's really gross too. There's some gross shit
Yeah.
in the Feebles as well.
Oh, the thing about the one nerdy guy whose head gets
Yeah,
scalped and he keeps having to bring it back.
yeah. It's if you've never seen Dead Alive everywhere else in the world, it's called Brain Dead, but in America, it's called Dead Alive. If you've never seen it, find the unrated version. The
Yeah.
R version is I don't think I've ever watched it. Why would you? It is such a fun movie. If you love Lord of the Rings and the Frighteners,
Yeah.
welcome to what got him some jobs.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have talked to a couple of people who claim to be who are Peter Jackson fans, but they're Peter Jackson fans post Frighteners.
Post Heavenly Creatures,
Yeah,
probably.
it's
Yeah, yeah.
all of that, and I'm like, oh, you need to go watch Meet the Feebles, Dead Alive slash Brain Dead, and Bad Taste.
I
Um,
can't even. It's hard. Bad Taste is it's got some fun scenes in it, but
I enjoy Bad Taste. I do.
I thought with
It's
you,
a little bit of it doesn't make it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
a little bit of it doesn't make a lot of sense.
But I enjoy watching it.
He was talented then and he's talented now, but he was a very gross guy and
Mhm.
gross things on
I
cinema.
wish we could get some of that back
I
from
do
Peter
too.
Jackson.
I do too. I wish he'd just do because he never made a straight horror film. They're comedy. They're horror comedies.
Yeah.
Dead Alive's a horror comedy, but check it out. James.
I'm going to screw this up because I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about a very, 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 very gross book that this author has had several things made into books and or made into movies. I'm sorry, most famously Fight Club. Chuck Palahniuk, I believe is
Yeah,
how it's
Chuck
pronounced.
Palahniuk. Yeah, or what?
Um,
Yeah, close enough.
Oh, it's Palachuk or something.
It's something like that.
Palahniuk. Anyway, I've only ever read it, folks. I'm sorry. If you love Fight Club and, and have read no other works by him, I don't know if I can say pick it up or not. Haunted. Haunted is there's a story that he actually the Haunted one went on to be a chapter in it. He originally wrote for Playboy. And it's a very, very well, basically it's about a young man who finds that if he starts the pull drain, he'll get sexual pleasure because it actually pulls on his intestines. Things go wrong, he gets sexual relief from that. Release from that. Things go wrong, eventually it rips out some of his intestine. Um, but also it turns out later on his sister goes swimming in the pool and becomes pregnant. And none of this would actually happen, by the way. But that's just one story that ends up in Haunted. And the overarching plot between Haunted is it's a writer's retreat where they're all trying to find a way to have lived experiences and to gain credibility about how they're a great suffering artist. It doesn't start that way. It starts as a writer retreat, but then they all start to think, oh, this is all conspiracy. Or some of them start to think that. So one person like will start starving themselves. They start doing all this. And as they do so, they tell these horrible, gross stories about things that they either themselves have done or that they've seen. And you get the backstory. Nobody's using their actual names. Nobody is doing anything else. But 90% of the stories are some of the grossest stories that I've ever read. And so if you like Fight Club and think, oh, he couldn't have possibly came up with something grosser or more perverse than that, I assure you.
Oh,
I
geez,
picked
that's
up.
not even his grossest film, Choke.
It's and so but literally every character is there's even the narrator. By the way, there's a narrator. Even the narrator is unlikable. Like about you start off thinking, oh, okay, this person's the most logical, and about a third of the way through, you're like, no, every single person here, they're in it. They want to suffer. They want to suffer for their art, even though their art isn't good. It isn't like they are terrible people. And so there's this weird relationship that you get between the idea of who's doing what does it look like, and what does it actually mean. And so if you've never looked at it before, you know, you should probably I again I know we normally do movies, but Haunted is one of those things that I can't recommend it to anybody unless you just like really gross stuff. If you do, check out Haunted.
All right.
Um,
Chad.
so then my next pick is a gross out film in another way, not like Serbian film, not like Brain Dead or well, kind of like uh, Chuck Palahniuk, whatever. This is actually a film I've been pleading with these two gentlemen to watch, and to this date, I still don't think they have watched
What
it.
is it?
I'm talking about 2021's Titan.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I wanted you all to watch this so I could get
I
your
don't even
feedback.
remember you telling me about it. I'm sure
Yeah,
you did, I
I
believe.
did. But if you haven't seen Titan, it's got a, and by the way, apparently don't look at IMDb's plot, because that's not what the movie's about. On IMDb. If Titan follows a lady who, as a kid, she's in a horrible car accident, and she suffers a very bad brain injury. And after that, she can only have sex with cars.
Oh, is it? And now I guess it's car crash is when I'm thinking of Crash. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, you're thinking of Crash,
Well, I know I'm
which
thinking of Crash. It's just
which we could
more.
just do this whole topic on David Cronenberg films, but
Oh my
he
God.
actually didn't make my list because I felt it was too obvious. But
I
no,
know
Titan.
his for me almost makes it.
Yeah, Rabbit.
No,
Oh wow.
no. Keep going.
No, so Titan, this lady, um, she likes she can only have sex with cars, and it's just following her as she just stumbles through and gets in a lot of horrible situations. A lot of them done by herself because she's just out of control. Um, and then the final scene, the final end of the movie, in particular, is pretty gross. I don't want to ruin that for you people if you haven't seen it, because this is actually one where I say, please watch it, because it is an interesting film to watch. It's very well done, but it is just weird and gross, especially when she has sex with vehicles.
Yeah. You ever seen it? You ever seen a 68 convertible? Search 96. Horrible.
But yeah, and the fact, and you see her head wound where she had this head trauma throughout the film because it's exposed. Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about it, but you can watch it for free on Tubi, if you're interested in watching it. But Titan, it's a French film too, by the way. I should mention that.
All right. This has come up twice in the last few weeks, which is funny because I've only ever seen it once. And the fact that it's came up two or three times in the last couple of weeks, which is two or three times more than it's come up in the last decade. And we've been doing Bonehead for 9 years. Street trash is gross as hell.
Yeah, it is.
Street trash is gross as hell. Yeah, it's a horror film, I guess. It's more like to me, even a couple of the reviews on it was like, oh, these people were clearly influenced by Lloyd Kaufman and Trauma.
Yeah, it's not, and I don't even know if you want to qualify it as a horror. It's kind
It's
of a
more of a dark
comedy.
comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not well done.
No,
And the remake is even worse. The remake that got done a couple of years ago,
I've
I
never
couldn't even
watched it.
finish that one.
I've never watched it.
But yeah, I recommended this to a friend of ours, and she looked it up and like she was telling me, see, I apparently don't remember this movie at
I
all. And
don't
I just
either.
watched it a couple of years ago. And I was like, she was telling, I'm like, I don't remember that being in this movie at all.
I don't remember it either. Been over a decade, but it's such a just a gross movie. Basically,
Mhm.
what it is, there's this thing that people are kind of giving off to saying it's liquor, giving it to vagrants, and it basically melts them, kills
Yeah.
them.
A-
That's the plot, unless I missed something. It's not more complicated than that.
And I do think, granted, it may not be well known, but in terms of movie deaths, it has one of the best movie deaths in movie history. It's just in terms of the, even for how low budget this
The
film is,
toilet,
yeah, the toilet death.
yeah, it
It's
is
just so well done and well shot, and they steal a shit ton from Sam Raimi.
it's disgusting. It's not pretty. It's not unwatchable either. It's
No, it's not.
a terrible movie, so it sounds like I'm shitting all over it. It's not my cup of tea, but I have sit through it. Like for example, I love Lloyd Kaufman. I like John Waters. I'm more of a fan of the man than I am the art, right? Some
Yeah.
people like other people are like, I love the art, but I don't like the man or the woman. I'm more of a fan of the men than I am the art. However, it's not like Chad's. It's more of his cup of tea than it is mine. Street Trash is a disgusting movie, and if you're
I
looking,
wouldn't say it's my cup of tea, but it's definitely a movie I
oh,
would
you're much
watch.
no, but it's more trauma is more your cup of tea is my
Oh no,
point.
I love trauma
Type of
films.
well, that's what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying. This type of film's more your
yeah,
cup of tea.
yeah,
Of just goofy, nasty, off the ball. It's just more you than me.
yeah.
Uh, I didn't hate it. I don't dislike it. I remember this like the toilet. It's hard not to remember certain scenes from it.
Hmm.
It's just not great, but if you're looking for something that's really gross and with lots and lots of fluids, hard to beat Street Trash. Now, I just never wake up on a Saturday morning thinking that's what I want to watch.
Yeah.
All right, James.
James.
Oh man, it's how do you follow up Street Trash?
With
And
a
I don't
good
think you
movie.
heard any of my picks, so
I did. I was
okay.
Just
listening.
ignored it.
I'm gonna go with um, and it's not all of it, but it's the scenes that are there. And I wish there was a lot of scenes that were cut that allegedly made it even worse. I think Event Horizon has some of the more grotesque scenes in.
Yeah.
Um, the eye popping scene in Zero Gravity sticks with me. Uh, I think that's one, but I also think that the scrambled message that they get, and if you go online and look up the what survives of the extended scenes of that, it was way worse. Um, there's scenes of brutal attacks and things like that, and people hacking on themselves and things like that. So, if you've never seen Event Horizon, uh, it's not a gross out film, I don't think. I mean, it has
No.
some very gross elements. If you're sensitive about people walking out around without eyes, yeah, I guess it's going to
The
get to you.
stories about
Um,
how that footage is lost and where it went and how there will never be a director's cut's actually sometimes somewhat more interesting than probably the footage is.
but it's very much yeah, it's just a fascinating. I don't know why it sticks with me so much, but I think the image of the burnt body, the image of is so well done, and it actually does drive the plot a little bit about how bad they're fighting to not be part of that. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's not one that I originally thought I would talk about, but as you all were talking about street trash and things like that, it just kept coming back to my mind about seeing that body float in zero gravity and seeing how things as they get more and more of those images, it does become really grotesque.
Yeah.
Um, and the movie works better for that. Like honestly, I think if it was made at a different time when there was a code enforcing that they couldn't show certain things, and it was like, oh, the ship went to hell. Well, okay, yeah, we don't want to do that. There's
Hmm.
something about that footage and how gross it is, and again, it may be a trick too, because I mean it's pretty intense footage, but also I'm sure my mind is making it worse, and so I think that's really effective. It's similar, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes if anybody else, but it's the same way Hellraiser is that way to me.
Hmm.
The ripping of the flesh in Hellraiser, that's not the plot to Hellraiser, but boy, it's an effective scene. And it's a gross out scene. That
Hmm.
foot walking without flesh on it. I don't
Yeah.
even remember if that's a scene, but in my mind it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the one that came to mind for
It's
me.
in Hellraiser 2. No, it's in
Is it? I thought it was
there.
Frank
That
when he
there was
got all
one
his skin.
specific one is when she comes back in Hellraiser 2 that freaks me out a little bit more, and he puts the bandages all over because she doesn't have skin. Anyway,
Yeah, but
all
I
right.
mean, and so those are the gross outs that came to mind, and it started. Y'all began it with as y'all were talking about street trash. I'm like, man, those Event Horizon scenes. So that's again not what I was going to talk about, but y'all are making me think of other things.
Jed,
So for my
boy.
third and final pick, I did this completely by accident. I didn't realize this. So I put together my list like I always do. I just pick movies from my memory that I know um, that I think would make good choices. Um, and I didn't look this up beforehand. I actually picked two movies from the same director. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So I mentioned Titan,
Mm-hmm.
but my next film from this same director, Joe and James, I don't think you watched it with us. I think this was a Joe and I movie. Um, I got to talk about 2016's Raw.
2016 Raw.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
we watch
I,
it? I don't remember it
Yeah,
yet.
we watched it together.
I believe
Uh,
you.
I'll
Will
watch
you
no,
it
give
no,
me
later.
a
I know what you're talking about.
yeah. So they're both directed by Julie Now. I butchered the name, but Raw is about a woman who's studying to be a vet who's a strict vegan
yeah.
who
Oh,
accidentally, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Now I remember.
who
Yeah.
through an accident accidentally eats a bit of meat and now starts craving human flesh.
Right.
And what she goes through is absolutely vile. The rash that she develops a rash, which she can only cure by eating human flesh.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just thinking of Jeff Bridges as the dude. Yeah, man, I had a rash. Sorry, when he's in the back of the. I don't know why.
But she'll do anything just to taste meat, blood, to the point of where it's almost like an addiction, and it takes her to weird and disgusting places. Um, I highly recommend watching both Titan and Raw because this lady is a talented director and writer who leans towards the gross and obscene, but she does it in a very, very artful way that makes it entertaining. Which now she just directed a movie last year called Alpha. Now I got to go look that one up because I did not realize that she directed both of those films.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to talk about Raw. I, I'm surprised Joe forgot about it
I have. I completely forgot it was
because
an.
we were both shocked watching it.
Yeah, I completely forgot. There's a lot of those Halloween movies that we've done over the years, and I'm sure I'll be
I
like,
don't think this was a Halloween one. This was just us sitting around your basement watching this movie.
master. No, I'm joking. Okay. Yeah, I don't. I barely remember it. All right. Well, I really, 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 really wanted to do a couple of comedies on here, but the problem is their definition of gross out film for comedies doesn't quite match the level of gross I think we were presenting to the
Yeah, I'm assuming
audience.
there's something about Mary comes out on that list.
Yeah, I mean, it's on a bunch, and it is gross at times. But once again, it doesn't make me want to, right? I think, and what it is when I feel gross, if it's done in really well, it doesn't even seem that gross to me. Like the, like the, like
I
the.
still have vivid memories of Joe watching a certain when I lived in Louisville. He was him and a friend of ours and his wife were at my apartment watching a certain movie, and I came in right
What
to
was it?
watch him gag. It was Jackass 2.
Yeah, so Jackass, the Jackass is on those lists, so that's more of a
Yeah.
comedy. But it's still, I don't. Was it the semen stuff?
No, no. So the
I
story
don't
is,
remember.
Joe and them came to visit me one weekend. They stayed at my apartment, and I had to work late that day. And I came in, and he was watching Jackass 2, which I just bought on DVD. And they got to the scene where it shows a miniature toilet in a bathroom,
Yeah,
and one of the guys from Jackass is sitting there pooping directly onto the toilet, and it's a massive pile of shit on this little bitty miniature toilet. And Joe was sitting there gagging.
yeah, that's pretty gross.
Yeah, yeah.
Just looking at shit doesn't quite get it.
And I agree with Joe that I can't. I enjoy Jackass films, but if it's fecal related, I can't watch it. I literally get sick to my stomach.
I mean, and some of them are fun. Some of I've like there are scenes in Jackass that have made me not rarely has anything made me laugh that hard.
Yeah,
Shitting on that and certain things just loses me. All
no,
right,
same here.
here is mine. And believe it or not, I'm not doing it for this, but I will say I've interviewed the writer director. nice guy. I've had the casts, most had the, I've interviewed or been on stage with most of the casts of these, and I'm going to include them in one big group, if that's okay with you all. One big group. And even the star of it, again, at Spawn, but the Terrifier films are as so freaking gross.
Hmm.
But I can't, especially the first one. It's only 80 minutes. And whatever it is that Damien Leone's tapped into or figured out, and he is a really nice guy behind the scenes. I'm not just saying that. You've all heard me go blah 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 blah. He's good with fans. Damien Leone behind the scenes is a really nice guy. I There's just something watchable about them. Now, I never rewatch them. I have no desire to rewatch them, but they're not also unwatchable.
Right. And is it bad that I am so, I guess, desensitized? I don't find the Terrifier films overly gross.
I do, especially Terrifier 2. There's
The
not
the
even
scene with the girl with the disfigured face. Yeah, and
not
what she does.
that some of that, but it's some of it too of bodily fluids coming out of the little girl in Terrifier 2 is
I
really
don't remember it.
it happens.
Oh, where she pees?
That it doesn't look like pee to me. Uh
Okay, I could be wrong.
yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you are. It's gross. There's some gross stuff. It gets really, 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 really gross. These movies are not scary in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-mm.
I There is some, well, the first one is a little unsettling. I'll tell you why they work. There's something about how Damien Leone makes a movie, not how he writes it. God knows that he though there's no plot to any of them. I don't care what he says. Is that there's something about how he makes a movie. He can make them watchable, even in his little twisted brain. And he is a funny, nice, wonderful, warm human being, like most really extreme horror people. He's wonderfully warm. But David Thornton Howard in art also, it just I don't think he gets enough credit as how he plays Art the Clown because he's pitch perfect in it. And there's something about him not having any dialogue in his performance that also keeps you just, I wouldn't say riveted, but it's very watchable. I
Mhm.
don't know how you gentlemen feel, but I think that something between the magic of the two of them. I'm not trying to take things away from the cast or whatnot, but I couldn't tell you any of the other characters' names. I don't care about any of their stories. I don't care that that one lady turned into an angel. I don't, whatever. None of that makes any sense to me. But however, whatever David Thornton Howard has tapped into and how he performs beautifully, he would be such. I should have told him this on stage again, and we even talked afterwards, and he was really nice this time. I should have told him in the 20s, he would have been such a star because he's so good at silent acting.
Mhm.
He's just such a good mime, performer, clown, whatever you want to say. He's just really good at it. Sorry, it sounds like I'm blowing smoke, but I really feel this way. I don't even like the movies, really, but I can recognize all these things. James,
I'm going to throw
bring us
out a
home.
couple really quick, and I don't think I'm stepping on it, but there has been a subgenre of a genre of a subgenre that I think is appropriately gross out based. And I want to give some credit where it's due. Movies like All Quiet on the Western Front,
Mm-hmm.
The Nightingale, um, oh, even Apocalypse Now, um, showing the horrors of war. All Quiet on the Western Front, the 2022 one, and Joe, I think you've recommended this one before.
It's a good movie. The one take drives me. I get the sentiment. I get how important it is to cinema and he's pushing boundaries, but there's something that in that movie, I don't know if you all watched it. Is it? No, no, I'm thinking of
You're saying
1922.
1917?
No, 1970. No, All Quiet on the Western Front is really good, but it's brutal.
Yeah, you see a tanks
It's
crush soldiers,
brutal.
bodies are mangled in the mud,
Nobody makes
wounds
it
are
out.
infected, men are burned. You see livestock, yeah, just
Oh my God, is it German? That was German, right? It's
German.
subtitled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's,
yeah,
I always
yeah.
so it's such a. I'm so sorry, I got it confused. It's such a beautiful film, but it is. I'm sorry because I never actually watched the original, nor have I ever read anything. Never read it. I just didn't. I don't think even past all that, it's just a bleak movie.
Yeah. There and by the way, I want to add in
Bleak
again. We
story.
are talking about movies generally. Um, the if you're interested in movies that really look at or media that really look at the bleakness of war, I do recommend the graphic novel. I want to make sure I'm getting the title right. Jacques Tardy,
Hmm.
who this came out in 1993, but it's a graphic novel, so you can still get it. Um, originally published in French, but it published in the United States as it was the War of the Trenches. It is him taking his grandfather's story, grandfather's diaries, and showing what the war was like. And the reason it stuck with me so much is that, much like those scenes in the movies, it actually talks about, and if you look up the statistics on this, you were much more likely to die from disease, infection, than you were an enemy bullet. Actually, you were almost as likely to die from a friendly
Yep.
bullet than an enemy
Yep.
bullet because the trenches, there was no logic to it. They couldn't figure out how to make it work. And if you got turned around, you might accidentally fire on your own people. Um, but this introduction, it was the War of the Trenches, and these movies do a great job of capturing that. In it was the War of the Trenches. One of the things that he says in the introduction is that his grandfather, he didn't understand when he was younger, that his grandfather lived in constant fear of cuts, like a cut on his hand, a cut on, and it was because he had watched so many people slowly decay alive from gangrene
Yeah.
in the trenches. And so, and that's captured in the book. You see stuff like that in a lot of these war movies that are trying to actually recreate what that experience was. And World War
Mhm.
One was, uh, World War II wasn't a walk in the park either, but we did a
No.
much better job of having medical. If you look at everything we did to prep for World War II, the fact that we had, university partnerships to research
Two
battle
words for
medicine.
you. Trench foot. If you
Yes.
don't know what it is, Google it. And if you want to see how bad it is, even more, watch Peter Jackson's They Will Be is it They Will Be Remembered?
Yes, I think so. Yes, yes.
Am I getting that close to you all?
I think. Let me check
They
that real
shall be
quick.
remembered or something like that. Well, but anyway, Google trench foot. You may be upset though. I'm sorry. It was a thing and it was awful.
They shall not grow old.
They shall not grow old. I'm so sorry.
They shall not grow old, which was a historical. Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, and so I think when we're talking about gross out, the fact that all of this stuff happened. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the movies, a lot of these movies are, fictional or based on a true story of the war. But if you look at, and I don't recommend this, but I study history and have to look at some very disturbing images. Um, when you look at the education attempts for people when they returned from World War One and what that actually looked like, that to me is the gross out stuff ever, and the fact that much of it is based on things that really happened makes it that much more disturbing. I'm not worried about melting on the toilet from street trash. It is a little bit concerning that, you
It
know,
bothers me a little considering all the illegal booze I get
what
from
that's, I mean,
Texarkana, Texas, and drive back.
you that oh my god, why don't we make that movie a hybrid?
Yeah, that's funny. I was having such a not rough, but miserable, and I don't know. I know we're getting off topic, but Netflix has Smokey and the Bandit, and it always makes me smile. Sorry.
I was trying to think how can we make Bandit generic so we can get away with having a character named that Crookface. Crookface has to go get a zombie potion from, I
And
don't know, Haiti.
Texarkana, Texas, and
Yeah.
back in 24. It ain't never been done. Yes, it has once.
Well,
And then we never talk
yeah,
about.
yeah,
That's the only illusion we do in the whole thing. Been done once.
yep. There you go.
Yeah.
Crookface going to get that zombie potion.
Any honorable mentions? I've got one.
I'm going to pass on my honorable mentions. You guys go ahead.
Mine one is Chad was talking about. Oddly enough, of all the nasty, whether it be video game, he said Rabid. Of all the nasty Cronenberg films, the one that grosses me out. I shouldn't say grosses me out, but has the grossest scenes in it to me is actually his Fly. I don't know if it's because of puke or what, but it's the
Oh, see, I think a lot of the scenes in Rabbit surpass.
that doesn't bother me as much. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just better with STD. Sorry. If you've never seen Rabid, it's basically yeah. All right, James.
I'm going to throw one out, and it's been a long time since I've seen this. Um, I don't know if I would recommend you seek it out right now, but if you've never heard of it, in America, I believe it was released as um, uh, the Big Feast. It's a 1973 comedy. Le Grand Buffet is the other term. And so the basic plot to this is that this group of men, which includes a pilot, a chef, I don't remember too much else, but they get together and literally over the weekend they're going to try to eat themselves to death. Um, and at the same time they get bored and bring in prostitutes and all this stuff. And it's not that it's per se, it is a comedy. But the way that one of them start to die is um, it involves a lot of toilet issues. And eventually the sewer backs up and explodes on him and kills him. But of course, since they want to die, they're not worried about necessarily addressing the need to clean that up as they stay in the area. Again, haven't seen the movie in years, but I wanted to throw out one quote unquote comedy. It is, as you can tell, a satirical comedy, and I believe it is not just French. I think it's French Italian partnership. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, if you've ever watched that scene in Monty Python's The Meaning of Life with
Oh,
Mr.
well,
Creosote?
yeah, and it's one of the it's another food grosses me out. So when people overeat, which is funny because I'm an overeater for most of my life, all my life, but food grosses it meant that's a gross scene.
If I was to say, if that's your favorite Monty Python scene of all time, seek out Le Grand Buffet.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry when he says "fuck off, I'm full."
It's
Makes me laugh.
waffle thin.
It is.
By
It's
the way,
funny, but you're talking about food, watching people, it's kind of gross to me. I know. I don't. It's
it
not.
is gross.
It's just.
Uh,
It's unappetizing.
by the way, I want to correct myself. I just realized my brain was making another error. Uh, you know what's grosser than the fly? It's not rabbit. It's the brood. That brood was what I was thinking
The
of.
brood is yeah. The brood is great. I don't know. There's something. There's just maybe it's and the effects in that movie are so good.
Yeah.
Done by oh god, he went on to direct The Fly too, and he did the Gremlins effects. I can't think. I wanted to get him on the show. He's real talented, but
Oliver Reed in a Cronenberg film. That's just a oof.
yeah, I don't know. That I've he has a way of making you feel uneasy.
Hmm.
There's not a feel good Cronenberg film. Maybe Eastern Promises.
I guess it
Well,
depends on what
if you
makes
like,
you
if
feel
you
good.
right, well, Russian mobsters, that's what makes me feel good. All
I
right.
mean, I will say this, History of Violence did have a pretty uplifting ending. Kinda.
I actually think I love that ending.
I do too.
It's such a good movie.
It is.
If you've never seen History of Violence, don't go watch anything. We just recommend it. Just go watch
It's
History of Violence and then Eastern Promises right after it.
Yeah.
You'll love them. All right. This has been Bonehead Weekly.